At a carpentry shop in Bolivia, men are working to design everything from hearts to houses, with some of their creations becoming elaborate. But one thing you might not expect about this workshop is that it's part of a prison, and the inmates are earning money that can be sent home to their families. It's not much. One inmate says the workers each get paid about $43 per month. Some of the miniature iron cars that one prisoner built will reportedly be given to his wife, who will then try to sell them at a craft fair. But in this South American country where poverty is high and prisons are overcrowded, the inmates say the workshop helps them pass the time, stay occupied, learn something new, and provide some support for the people waiting for them outside prison walls. We hope you had a fantastic weekend, and we're thankful to see you this Monday on The World from A to Z. I'm Carl Azus. According to the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, there have been dozens of attacks since October on bases used by the U.S. in the Middle East. The USA Today news company reports that most of these assaults have been made with drones and rockets, and that most of them have been blocked from hitting U.S. positions. However, a drone strike on Sunday killed 3 American troops and wounded at least 34 others in the nation of Jordan. This is the first time U.S. forces have been killed in an attack linked to the war between Israel and Hamas. And American officials are blaming the nation of Iran, a sworn enemy of Israel and rival of the U.S., for the strike. Militias supported by Iran have conducted numerous attacks like it. These militias have said they're responding to U.S. support for Israel in its conflict with Hamas. The U.S. has responded by hitting targets in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. And concerning Sunday's fatal attack on Americans, President Joe Biden said the U.S. would, quote, hold all those responsible to account at a time and manner the U.S. would choose. Since the latest war between Israel and Hamas flared up in October, governments, experts, and citizens in the Middle East and abroad have been concerned that it could become a bigger conflict involving more countries. Sunday's attack might have increased the threat of that happening. On this date in world history. For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo. It is believed that January 29, 1595 is the first time an audience heard those lines. Historians think this was the date of Romeo and Juliet's first performance, though it was officially published 2 years later. January 29, 1861 was when Kansas was admitted as a U.S. state. It was the 34th state to join the Union, though the Civil War that threatened that union was just months away. And January 29, 1936 was a big day for some of the biggest names in baseball. Ty Cobb, Walter Johnson, Christy Mathewson, Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner. This was the date when they were elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame, the first 5 players to receive that honor. On Friday's show, in advance of International Holocaust Remembrance Day, we reported on a study that said there are about 245,000 people alive today who survived the Holocaust. Most of these people were children when World War II ended. Our next report introduces you to one of these survivors and brings you the story of the British man who rescued her and hundreds like her.
And this is your passport.
Vera Schaufel was just 9 years old when her parents sent her to England.
It was totally bewildering.
It was May 1939, after Adolf Hitler's Nazi troops invaded her homeland.
Czechoslovakia wasn't a safe country for Jewish people. These are some of the pictures.
Now aged 93, her journey and her escape from Hitler's wrath is being retold in the motion picture, One Life.
We are working to evacuate these children by train to safety in Britain.
Vera was one of 669 children who made it to England thanks to the work of British stockbroker Nicholas Winton. Moved by the horrific situation he had seen in Prague, Winton organised a rescue operation for children in what's now known as the Kinder Transport Programme. He managed against the odds to get 8 trainloads of children out. The 9th one never made it.
We just looked out and waved goodbye, and that was the last time I saw my family. I heard from the Red Cross that my parents and my grandmother and all my family weren't alive anymore.
How old were you at that point?
So I was 14.
A teenager with only words and memories to hold on to.
Is there anyone in the audience tonight who owes their life to Nicholas Winton?
Vera and the other Kindertransport children had no idea who saved them until a TV show nearly 50 years later.
I didn't know that somebody had organised and made it possible for me to come, and for all of us.
Despite the trauma she had lived through, Vera committed herself to a life of service, sharing her story to preserve the memory of the Holocaust.
I hoped that that would mean end of genocides. You know, people kept saying never again. But yes, I mean, it's gone on and on.
Do you think humanity has learned from it?
I wish I could say I feel it has. But when you look at the world, I don't think we have learnt very much.
Watertown is the first of two places we're visiting on today's World of Viewers segment. This particular Watertown is a city in the Mount Rushmore state of South Dakota. Mr. Schlusener's class is there at Great Plains High School. Great to see you this Monday. And moving to the city of Searcy in the natural state of Arkansas, we welcome Coach Simmons' class at Alf Junior High School. Let's go Lions!
World of knowledge. In what activity would you find the term sigh, godette, and presser foot? Dressmaking, carding, badminton, carpentry. A sigh is an armhole, a godette is a fabric insert, a presser foot is part of a sewing machine. All of these are dressmaking or tailoring terms.
Those words likely factor into what Stephanie Reynolds does, though we're not sure whether to call her a fashion designer or an artist. Roughly 10 years ago, the New Zealander who'd moved to Australia entered a competition for wearable paper art. This is what happened afterward.
Stephanie Reynolds is a dressmaker, but with a twist. She makes dresses out of paper and glue.
That's tissue paper, and this is a very fine Japanese tissue, so you can see how unbelievably delicate that actually is.
After a long career as a business consultant, the 69-year-old decided to revive an old passion for textiles.
I had always been involved in theatre when I was younger, so I had always had this great love for design and fashion and making things.
Frilly collars, flowery touches, she even makes paper shoes. And her retirement hobby is flourishing. With several showcases under her belt in the past year, her work is now part of an art gallery for 10 emerging artists.
I think what Stephanie's done is amazing. Just to put your artwork out there at any age is an incredible feat.
Reynolds says she finds it hilarious she's considered an emerging artist, but
emerging art is not based on age. And there's a great tradition of artists throughout the world who haven't actually done their seminal works until their 40s or 50s. So emerging can happen at any time.
Reynolds hopes her work will continue to inspire others to try something new.
I would love if more older people didn't keep on with the story that they're not creative, because it's just a story we've learnt somewhere in our lives. I reckon everybody's creative.
If you're into demo and explosion videos, this one totally rocks. A rock slide recently rolled into a rural roadway in Northern California. But the big bad boulders were too bulky to roll away, so work crews rigged the rugged rocks with dynamite. They also arranged some exemplary camera work, and once everything was ready, boom, turning trouble into rubble, with small stones that are significantly simpler to sweep away. When the challenge is vast and a crew gets cast and moves fast with the task of putting into the past the rocks that rocked and rolled, blocked and locked the road, stocked the trucks with loads, move and move at mode. It's an obstruction that needs destruction. Call the construction crew, the ones when asked that if they have the might to deploy dynamite, they delight at the site where work is a blast. I'm Carl Azus, having a blast on the world from A to Z. Thanks for putting up with the puns and the raps. You mean the world to me.